Guys, Matt B's Movies back for another video, and today is the final part of my Dark Knight Trilogy series of videos. And this one we're going to focus on looking at the Dark Knight Trilogy in 4K, my thoughts on the picture and sound quality. What I'm also going to do is I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the new the Batman film. At the time of recording this, on the 12th of March, I went to see the film on the 11th of March, yesterday. And yeah, I sort of had, overnight to kind of think about the film and sort of get some thoughts together. So after we've talked about the Dark Knight Trilogy 4K, I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts on this new film. Okay, just before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button down below and hitting the notification bell so you'll be informed when I upload a new video. Welcome back to existing subscribers. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. Really appreciate any comments on the video. It's really nice to have some interaction. So yeah, all comments appreciated. Please give the video a thumbs up. That really does help the channel out. And share the video if you like. That's great as well. And also please find me on Instagram. I'm over there. So I post pictures and the occasional video. So yeah, go and follow me over there as well. Okay, so let's get into the video. Okay, so like I said at the start, this is the final video in this series of looking at the Dark Knight Trilogy. For the last few weeks I've looked at each film individually and the releases that I have for those films on Blu-ray and talked a little bit about them. And as I say, we're going to sort of have a look at the 4K set now and just sort of a little bit about my thoughts on the picture and sound quality. Okay, so this is a nice set that the three films come in. Show you the spine. And on the back, a little bit about each film. And then the tech specs down the bottom. Show you the top as well. And the bottom. So we've got HDR on here. And on each film there's a 5.1 DTS master audio mix. Christopher Nolan doesn't tend to use Dolby Atmos or DTS-X on his films. I think he just feels that the sort of 5.1 setup is perfectly adequate. As far as the picture quality on these, it's fantastic. There's a lot of IMAX scenes in these films. I know Christopher Nolan really likes the format of IMAX, and on certain scenes it looks fantastic. When you've got the full screen image. So yeah, let's get these out of the package. Okay, so we've got the Dark Knight Rises, the Dark Knight, and Batman Begins. Okay, so we obviously get individual artwork on each one. Again, just take you around the back, and you can see this is packed full of special features. It's pretty much what you're getting in here is the Blu-ray versions that we got before and the 4K disc. You've got the text specs down the bottom. Open up the discs. There's your Blu-ray movie. Special features and the 4K. Okay, so I'm not really going to be speaking about the Blu-ray in this video. It's just about the 4K. So yeah, I didn't actually watch the full film for this review, but I have watched certain scenes sort of at length, just to get an idea, sort of refreshing my mind. And yeah, this looks fantastic. You know, it's a great picture quality, very clean image. You know, the HDR is really good. I didn't watch this on my projector. I just sort of used it on my TV, which is an LCD Panasonic with HDR 10. But yeah, it looked great. You know, there's a lot of dark scenes in here, sort of browns, but equally there's scenes where, like, Bruce Wayne is sort of goes to sort of almost like the sort of icy sort of region. It looks a bit like Antarctica, but it isn't, obviously. There's a particular scene with him and Ra's al Ghul, and they're fighting on a lake, an ice lake, but you're surrounded by sort of a lot of snowy scenes. You know, it looks like a glacier, I suppose that's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, the whites look fantastic, you know, really vivid, bright whites. Yeah, I mean, you know, skin tones on people's faces, really clear. You know, you sort of see fine detail on the clothing, textures on the clothing, and yeah, I mean, from what I saw, what scenes I saw, you know, I thought, yeah, this looks fantastic. I do actually need to fully watch all three of these films in 4K. I was meaning to do that before this video, but I've just not had the time, unfortunately. So I've just kind of selected, you know, some scenes and just watched them, just to get an idea in my own head as to yeah, what these look like, and it looks fantastic. And again, equally from the sound quality, the same again. You know, it's a 5.1 DTS master audio mix, and it sounds great. You know, good left and right separation, good dialogue. You know, good use of bass. Yeah, you know, it's the same mix that you're going to get on the Blu-ray. No different, like I said. Christopher Nolan's, he's not really interested in the immersive audio. You know, for him, 5.1 does the job, and it does. You know, it's a great mix. Okay, so on to the Dark Knight, and again, another great image here of the Joker on the front. And then on the back again, you got all those special features ported over from the Blu-ray sets. Again, still 5.1 mix. Is pretty much the same even on the Dark Knight Rises, but we'll get into that in a minute. We open it up, so you've got the movie on Blu-ray, special features, and the 4K. And again, yeah, wow, this looks fantastic. I mean, I watched the opening prologue scene with this, you know, where you're coming into the city and you're seeing all the buildings, crisp, you know, crisp images, you know, sort of cityscape. Yeah, it looks fantastic. You know, and it's the bank scene where obviously the Joker and his and the, you know, the criminals going in to rob the bank. You know, and again, yeah, it looks fantastic, sounds fantastic. You know, the music in this film is very, you know, sort of gritty. It's got that sort of heat, the film Heat. I always get that vibe from it, certainly at the start of this film. Very much, I think Nolan's taken influence from Michael Mann's film there. But yeah, and you know, and the rest of the film, I've watched certain scenes of this, and yeah, it just looks great. Best it's ever going to look, I think, on the format. You know, some great IMAX scenes, and yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic. So I'd highly recommend, you know, picking this film. Well, to be honest, all three films up on 4K. If you've got the capability of 4K, this is the way to go. You know, they are an improvement over the Blu-ray for sure. So that's the Dark Knight. And the final one is the Dark Knight Rises, and you've got a nice image here of Bane on the front. And if we flip it round, again, you know, more special features, over 3 hours actually on this one, so that's really good. But again, you'd find these on the Blu-ray version if you're just going to pick up the Blu-ray, or you have the Blu-ray. Again, like I've said before, a 5.1 DTS master audio mix, and again, just like the other two, looks fantastic. You know, there's again IMAX scenes in this. Again, the opening prologue in this, you know, is the sort of the plane scene, you know, and you're getting fantastic landscapes on this, and yeah, you know, it looks great. It's definitely the best way to watch the film in this 4K format, and sound, yep, just as good. So say same mix that you'll get on the Blu-ray, but you know, it's that good a soundtrack that really, I don't really think Atmos would maybe add anything to it. I don't know. I mean, obviously we're never going to get an Atmos or a DTSX, so I suppose I can't really comment would it be any better or not. But to be honest, you know, what you're getting here is top notch in my opinion. So yeah, so I'd highly recommend, if you're thinking about picking up these 3 films on 4K, yeah, I'd definitely go for it. It's definitely the best way to you know, to watch this trilogy of films, and I absolutely love these films. Yeah, okay, the Dark Knight Rises probably got a few little problems, but you know, I overlook it and just think, you know, what a wonderful set of films. You know, for me, I think these are the best kind of iteration of Batman that we've had so far. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute when I come on to my review of the Batman. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that in a few seconds. So that was my thoughts on the Dark Knight Trilogy. So now I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the Batman, with Robert Pattinson taking the role of the Batman. So I went to see this at the cinema yesterday, and yeah, fantastic picture. Sound quality was, you know, amazing really. You know, deep bass, you know, a pounding soundtrack, very good soundtrack on this. It's a very long film, 3 hours. For me personally, I felt it was possibly a tad too long. I think if they'd have trimmed it down a little bit, I think maybe the 2.5 to 2 3/4 hours would have been a slightly better run time. I didn't get bored at all. I'm not saying that's the case. I think maybe just in places they could have maybe sort of trimmed a little bit here and there. Yeah, it was a long film. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good, very different to what we've seen before. This focuses on a sort of younger Batman. My thoughts on it, it felt like he was sort of in the infancy of his career as the Dark Knight, or the Batman. Still very much sort of finding his feet. Yeah, I thought the costume was really good. Did feel the cowl was sort of showing quite a lot of his face, more so than maybe sort of other versions of Batman that we've seen, possibly with the exception of Val Kilmer. I think his cowl showed a little bit more of the face, but certainly more than the Christian Bale version. Yeah, I just felt like you could see more of his face. But yeah, it was great to see the Riddler. Nice to see a sort of new interpretation of the Riddler, where we'd only sort of seen sort of the Jim Carrey version, which was quite sort of more like the 60s show, you know. So yeah, it was great to see a sort of modern version of the Riddler, sorry. So that was good. I think he had good motivation in the film. You could see why he was doing what he was doing. Again, there's so much going on in this film. I probably need to re-watch it to sort of really kind of get to more grips with the story. Bits and pieces of it I got a little bit lost on. But to be honest, I'm like that with a lot of films. It's just so much to take in when you see a new film. It's good to probably have a re-watch on these. And I will be picking up the HMV exclusive that's on pre-order now. So yeah, looking forward to picking that up. So with this sort of version of Batman, it's very much, they're going more down the detective route, which was good. I did feel there were scenes where Batman was very much sort of in close proximity to sort of all the police officers. He was sort of in a room with, you know, well, different places. He was in the police station, in sort of the crime scene, very much sort of near everybody, which that didn't really work for me. I mean, I'm very much used to the character of Batman being more mystique. I think they showed that in the Dark Knight Trilogy. You know, he was there one minute and gone the next. You know, sort of very aloof, mysterious, and I didn't get that vibe from this one. It felt like he was kind of sort of in the thick of it. You know, there's a nightclub scene where he goes into this sort of massive nightclub, and you know, there's people all around, and quite a lot of opportunities. He could easily get overcome, and they could sort of unmask him. So yeah, I didn't particularly like that kind of element. I just felt he was quite vulnerable in a lot of situations. Could easily, yeah, be sort of unmasked. And again, maybe that vulnerability was coming out because I think in various scenes you could see that he probably is still very new to this. Whilst he's got a lot of strength, and there's a lot of good scenes where he's quite violent. And again, this is a 15 certificate, so it's quite a, you know, a sort of more adult version, I suppose, even more so than the Dark Knight, which they're all 12s. Yeah, this one is quite graphic, I suppose, with the violence. It's quite sort of heavy on it. So yeah, it was nice to see the character of Catwoman in it. Obviously, again, a very different version of Catwoman to what we've seen before. But again, there was a nice sort of that sort of chemistry between Catwoman and Batman that there always is, and you could see the sort of with Catwoman, you know, you can't quite trust exactly what she's going to do next. She's a bit unpredictable. That came out, so that was good. She's still very much got her own sort of ideas on things and may not necessarily agree with what Batman, you know, wants to do. You know, his sort of thing on justice and doing things in the right way. Maybe she's not quite as, yeah, sort of wanting to go down the routes that he would do. So that came out very well. I found the character of Alfred, whilst Andy Serkis was very good in the role, he didn't really do a lot. For me, he just came across as being there, opened a few letters, solved the puzzle. I mean, he looked the part, and he came across as kind of a bit of a sort of an old school sort of Alfred. Very much different to the Alfred that we got in Batman v Superman, who was very much played by Jeremy Irons, very much more involved in the tech side of things. This Alfred seemed more like just a sort of trying to be a kind of like a father figure to Bruce Wayne, but running the house and, well, the mansion. And again, the mansion looks very gothic. Again, very different to what we've seen before, very gothic style. You don't see the outside of the mansion, but inside, yeah, it looks very gothic. So yeah, but for me, I didn't really feel like Andy Serkis really was in it much. He was there, but he didn't really do a lot. So yeah, I'd say overall for me, I did enjoy the film. I thought it was a good film, very good to look at, very stylistic, very gritty, very dark. A lot of it's set at night, a lot of rainy, situations. Very much like the film of Seven. If you've ever seen the film Seven, it kind of reminded me a little bit of that. And the character of the Riddler, he felt very much like a serial killer that you would find in something like Silence of the Lambs or Seven. He was clearly mad, but yeah, I liked him. I did think he was good. Probably the best, iteration of the Riddler that we've seen so far. But overall, it didn't quite live up to the Dark Knight Trilogy for me, this film. I think it's a good Batman. It's a different Batman to what we've seen before, but I would put this certainly below the Dark Knight Trilogy, and actually I'd put this below Ben Affleck as Batman. I really enjoyed seeing Ben Affleck as an older Bruce Wayne. I thought he's fantastic as Bruce Wayne, sort of an older, sort of experienced, kind of, Bruce Wayne, and his Batman was really good as well. I really like that, and I would have loved to have seen a solo Batman film from Ben Affleck, but that didn't happen. So they've gone down this route, and I enjoyed it. As I say, I did enjoy it, but I felt a little bit long. I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Pattinson as an actor. He doesn't, from what I've seen him in, he's not really somebody that I really think, oh yeah, I'd love to see a Robert Pattinson film. Yeah, he was good as the Batman. I thought he looked very good as the Batman, and he came across, I think his Bruce Wayne seemed a little bit weak for me, a very young Bruce Wayne, but yeah. But I can personally think that I think younger generations will really connect with this sort of version of Batman. Maybe because I'm a bit older, I don't know, and I've seen a lot of iterations of Batman over the years. I've very much sort of liked the Dark Knight Trilogy, and this is what I focused on in these videos. So yeah, for me, they're still, probably the best versions of Batman that we've seen to date. So would I recommend seeing this film? Absolutely. It's highly recommend to see it on the big screen. It's going to be the best experience you're going to get to go and watch this. And I say it's aimed at an older, a mature audience, 15 plus. So it's not for children, certainly not. And I say it's very much sort of on that detective sort of route. Very much focusing on a younger Bruce Wayne, I think, more at the start of his career as Batman, I suppose. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it. As I say, just for me, I don't feel it's as good as the Dark Knight Trilogy, or even as good as Ben Affleck as Batman. I mean, I'd actually say maybe even Michael Keaton is better in the role. But I'd certainly put Robert Pattinson above Val Kilmer and George Clooney. Those two films for me, I just think a bit daft myself. But I know people enjoy them, but it's not films that I would collect. But I'll definitely be picking this one up, as I say. So yeah, so hope you enjoyed the video. My sort of thoughts and ramblings on this. Probably gone on for far too long, but there we go. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this series of videos looking at the Dark Knight Trilogy, and as I say, I've just rounded it off with my thoughts on the Batman. So yeah, so take care and see you in the next one. Bye now.